Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Darlington Nkwazi. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a panel. A panel is a window on which controls are placed. It is usually placed within a frame. Here I have a boilerplate code, and this code basically just creates a window. Okay, if I save it and run it, you can see the window here. So what we're going to do now is create a panel and place it on this window. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this now. So to create a panel, I'll come down here and just say, this is actually the most common way to do it. You just say self.panel is equal to wix.panel, and we must give it a parent. Okay, if we don't give it a parent, it's not going to work. All right, panels must have a parent. So this time we want this frame to be the parent. This. So we're going to come here and say self. So if I save it and run it, you can't see the panel clearly. So let's give it a color. I'll come here and say self.panel.set background color. Okay, and I'll say this should be WX red. Okay, if I save it and run it, you can see the color has changed, so it's now visible. All right, so I'm going to cancel this. So this is the most common way to create panels. What I'm going to do now is show you how to create a standalone panel. I'll just take all of this out, and then I'll say import Wix, and then I'll come here and define the class. So I'll say class standalone panel. That's what I want to call it. Okay, and then I'll say Wix.panel. And what I'm going to do now is initialize the class. So I'll say def init, and then I'll say self. And remember, I said a panel must have a parent, so I'll come here and say parent. And then to allow the class to access the methods and properties of WxPanel, I'll come here and say super.init, and I'll say parent. Okay, and then I'll come down here and say I want this panel to have a background color of red. Okay, so I'll say self.set background color, and I'll say wx.red. All right, and I'll come down here and say if this is a top level Python script, that's if name is equal to main, creates an application object that's app is equal to wx.app. Then I'll come down here and create the frame instance. So I'll say frame is equal to wx.frame, and I want the parent to be none and the size to be 800 by 600. Okay, and to show the frame, I'll say frame.show. And to start the event handling loop, I'll say app.main loop. Okay. Now if I save it and run it, what does it say? It says frame object has no attribute show. Okay, so this is supposed to be a capital letter, so I'll save it and run it again. So now we can see the frame. But we haven't added the standalone panel yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is say panel is equal to standalone panel, and I want the parent of this panel to be this frame. Okay, so I'll come here and type frame. All right, so now if I save it and run it again, you can see that the panel has been added. That's evidenced by this change in color. Okay, so if I wanted to include the icon, I could just say frame dot set icon, and I'll say Wix dot icon, and I'll say I'll give it two parameters. Okay, first is the path to this icon here. I'll just type it out. And the other parameter will be the type of the image. So I'll say Wix dot bitmap type. The image format is PNG, so I'll choose PNG. Okay. If I save it now and run it again, you can see the window icon now. I could also give it a title, so I could come here and say title is equal to create your first window. Okay, and now if I save it and run it again, you can see the window title. Let's center it, so I could come here and say frame dot center. Okay, and if I save it and run it again, you can see it's now at the center. That's basically how it works. If you enjoyed watching this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks and see you next time.